Right now, you're probably holding something that should not exist. Bread, pasta, a sandwich, a bowl of noodles. Something soft, familiar, harmless. But what if I told you this is not just food? What you're holding is a genetic agreement between your body and a wild grass, and that agreement is written in your DNA. 10,000 years ago, wheat did not look like this. It was a wild grass in the Fertile Crescent, small seeds, hard shells, unstable survival food, most of it scattered into the soil before humans could even collect it. But humans kept returning to it again and again, and unknowingly, they started changing it. Not with science, but with survival pressure. Every harvest selected for one thing: seeds that stayed attached, seeds that didn't fall apart, seeds that humans could control. And over thousands of years, wheat changed shape, but something else changed too. Human biology began adapting alongside it. Here is the first number that changes everything. Your saliva contains up to 50 copies of the amylase gene. 50. People without wheat ancestry, 2 to 3 copies. That is not culture. That is evolution, written in your spit. Amylase is the enzyme that breaks down starch. The more copies you have, the more efficiently you digest wheat. Your body adapted to wheat before you were born. In modern populations with long histories of grain consumption, amylase gene variations increase dramatically. Populations consuming high-grain diets develop stronger ability to break down complex carbohydrates. This is selection pressure written into DNA.
But the story starts even earlier. Around 23,000 years ago, humans were already interacting with wild grains, not farming them, not planting them, just harvesting them season after season. And something began to appear in the archaeological record: grinding stones, sickles, storage pits. Evidence that grain was becoming central to survival long before civilization officially began. And this is where biology and behavior start to merge, because wheat introduced something new into the human environment: predictable energy storage. Unlike meat, which moves and disappears, wheat stays. And when energy becomes predictable, human behavior changes. But so does human biology. Stored carbohydrates create repeated glucose exposure, and repeated exposure forces metabolic adaptation. Insulin response systems adjust, digestive enzymes adapt, gut microbiome composition shifts. Even immune system regulation changes in grain-heavy populations over generations. This is not evolution in theory. This is evolution happening in real time across thousands of years. And your DNA is still carrying that history. Then something critical happens. Wheat stops being just gathered. It begins being shaped. Early humans unintentionally select for traits that make wheat easier to harvest: stronger seed attachment, larger grains, less natural dispersal. The plant begins losing its wild survival mechanisms and gaining human dependency. But at the same time, humans begin gaining wheat dependency. A two-way genetic trap begins forming. Here is another number you didn't expect. A variant of the TAS2R38 gene makes some people taste bitterness in wheat differently. 25% of humans cannot taste certain bitter compounds at all. Your ancestors' diet shaped your tongue. This gene variation is not random. It follows ancestral dietary patterns. Populations with long histories of grain consumption develop different sensitivity profiles. Your ability to enjoy or tolerate wheat is partially genetic. The food you eat chose your ancestors, and your ancestors' choices changed your DNA.
Because wheat does something no wild food system ever did before. It creates surplus. And surplus changes everything in the genome of civilization. When food becomes stable, survival pressure decreases, but population pressure increases. More children survive, more bodies depend on stored energy, and the human body begins adapting to a new normal: high carbohydrate dependence, regular glucose cycling, reduced dietary variation. And this leaves long-term biological signatures. Then, agriculture fully emerges, and wheat becomes the foundation of civilization. But now the genetic relationship deepens. Populations that relied heavily on wheat develop different metabolic patterns compared to pastoral or hunter-gatherer groups. Studies in modern genomics show clear dietary-driven selection patterns over thousands of years. Not set in evolution, but slow genetic tuning. Your ancestors' food choices shaped your enzymes. Here is where it gets even more interesting. East Asian populations develop different starch processing genetics than Europeans. The same wheat, the same grass, different biological responses. The AMY1 gene copy number varies significantly between populations. Japanese and Chinese populations show distinct amylase profiles compared to European groups. The wheat adapted to you. You adapted to wheat, but not the same way everywhere. This is the genetic signature of regional dietary history. Your ancestors ate what was available. Their bodies changed. Your body inherited those changes. You are not separate from that process.
By the time ancient civilizations rise, wheat is no longer just food. It is economic structure and biological infrastructure. Storage systems define survival. Control of grain defines power, and control of power defines genetic survival rates of entire populations. Because the groups that managed wheat most efficiently expanded the fastest, and their DNA expanded with them. In ancient Egypt, wheat and grain systems were tied directly to taxation and labor. In Mesopotamia, grain storage defined political control. In early China, grain surplus determined population stability. Every major early civilization was built on the same biological foundation, a grass that humans domesticated and that slowly domesticated humans back. Here is the final number. Your genome still carries adaptations shaped by over 10,000 years of grain dependence. Your metabolism still responds to starch availability. Your insulin system still reflects ancestral energy environments. Your microbiome still carries echoes of long-term dietary history. This is not metaphor. This is biological memory, written in DNA. So when you eat wheat today, you are not just consuming calories. You are activating a system your ancestors built through survival pressure, a system that shaped digestion, shaped settlement, shaped civilization, and shaped population genetics across continents. And the most unsettling part is this: wheat did not just feed humanity, it selected humanity. Your DNA is part of that selection, still responding, still adapting, still remembering.